Innovation, imagination, wonder. These are just some of the words used to describe Dr. Harvey Passes. Dr. Passes explores interesting people and ideas that will stimulate you. He questions the people who develop, create, and employ novel concepts in business and everyday lives. He especially loves to speak with successful people. How did they do it? How can you do it too? So let's join Dr. Harvey Passes in his quest of wonder and curiosity as we watch Dr. Harvey Passes Presents.
I have to contain my enthusiasm. I am doing today one of my most favorite topics, my most favorite kind of show. Of course, it's called Dr. Passes Presents, but this kind of show, I love to give it the title, The Anatomy of Success. And every now and then, I come across someone who just really does it for me, gives me that spark, shows me that passion, shows me the light, the way to see things differently. And today, I have a very extra special guest who fits the bill perfectly. His name is Mr. Stanley Bergman, and he is the chairman and CEO of Henry Schein Incorporated. And it's a beautiful company that, as a dentist, well, I know a lot about them. And this gentleman, he is an extremely busy man, took the time to come down here to share with you some of his insight and some of the ways in which he sees the world and how he has been able to take a company that was doing okay into this absolute behemoth. And it's not what you think. It's more about people. And let's hear what Stan Bergman has to say. Stan, did you like that opening?
Wow.
How was that?
That's exciting. Couldn't believe the same company.
Well, the show's over. Goodbye. So long. No, I'm thrilled that you took the time to come down here, because if there's anybody busier than me, it's you. And it's just wonderful. So first, I gave the intro about the company, and the company is a medical and dental, basically, supply company to office-based practitioners.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, we service about 1 million office-based healthcare practitioners throughout the world.
That's throughout the world. That's a key ingredient here to understand. Now, your background, I mean, you're not a dentist.
No,
Okay, so what's your background?
I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant. Okay, you're an accountant. And you got involved in Henry Schein Company Incorporated how many years ago? In what capacity?
The first time I walked into the Henry Schein building was 32 years ago.
Okay, you don't look old enough. Go ahead.
I was a young consultant in the practice management software arena, and met Henry, met Jay, met Marvin Schein, and the rest is history.
The whole family, the rest is history. And boy, I mean, it's just incredible. Okay, so let's get down to it now. There's so many things to ask you. I had technical questions, but I'm going to put them on the side, because having gotten to know you and understand how you feel and think, I believe that your greatest attribute in looking at and gaining success is what? Is people?
I think success, if you could define it in a business context, in any kind of leadership position, is about people. And if you're happy with working with people, if you enjoy people, in fact, to me, the best leader is somebody that knows how to run a summer camp. Get everyone involved. If you can get everyone involved and you enjoy that, well, that's success, or the formula for success.
So you have a term. I think it's called your 5 constituents in the mosaic of success. Okay, briefly, just
Right.
what are they?
Well, you know, life is a matter of balance. I learned that from my late father, who was somebody that saw in nature a series of balances. And life is really, at the end of the day, about balance. In the business sense, it's about balancing what we call at Henry Schein, the 5 constituents in the Henry Schein mosaic of success.
Please explain. What are they?
So on the one side, there are suppliers. Everyone in business needs something to sell. Right? So if you're a dentist, you need service. If you're an accountant, you need clients. Right. If you're in our business, you need products. So we want to be the very, very best partner possible for our suppliers, so that they can make more money from us than any other distributor. At the end of the day, we of course expect the best service and the best value from our suppliers, but we want them to be delighted with us. So on the other side of that is, of course, our customers. And what do customers want? They want to deal with someone who can help them be more successful. So in our instance, it's the dentist or the physician or the companion animal veterinarian who's got one challenge. How do I run a better small business so I can provide better quality care? So you as a dentist in your other life, you want to have a small business that's successful, but at the same time, you want to provide the best in quality of care. So our job is to help our customers become more successful in running a business and providing quality of care. And in the middle of all of that is our team, what we call Team Shine, bringing the two together, bringing our suppliers and our customers together. But in order for all of this to happen, we're in business, in a free market economy, you need capital, which means you have to have the fourth constituent, which is the capital markets. And we're a public company, so we have to deliver consistent return on investments to our investors. But then in the Henry Schein mosaic of success, there's a fifth constituent, and that is the world around us. Social responsibility has been important in the 76 years of Henry Schein's history, and that is to help the world around us, the communities we're in, the profession. A big area of our social responsibility is administered through the Henry Schein Cares program, which is involved in access to care.
Now, I know this firsthand because last year, Wrigley and the American Dental Association approved and asked me to become the singing dentist to travel around the country to help get the word out about good health care for children, singing the praises of what you've got to do, and indeed a number of companies supplied products so that we could give them away to children so that they could take care of their teeth. And I know that your company, through your desire for good social responsibility, fostered this and helps promote this, which I see is very important. Tell me for a second on who one or two of your most important mentors have been in your life, because you can't do this alone. You only can see as tall as you can because you stand on the shoulders of others, as Einstein said. Whose shoulders do you stand on? Besides your father.
You know, life really is about meeting different people and enjoying meeting people, learning from people, and giving back. To me, that's the cycle of life. And in that context, I have met remarkable people. In fact, everyone meets remarkable people. It's a question of recognizing the remarkable people and finding a way to connect with them.
By being a good listener as well, you've mentioned this.
Listening is critical. It's not easy to listen.
Not easy
perhaps
to
the
listen.
hardest thing to listen. And perhaps the hardest thing to do is to do good. It's never easy. But if you're passionate about it, and you talking about passion or somebody that's very, very passionate, but if you're passionate about listening and taking what you hear and turning it into a vision and a plan and executing on that passionately, one can be successful, I think, in any sphere, because everyone is given the opportunity to meet exciting people. Of course, the late Jay Schein, Henry's son, was a very, very important mentor in my life. I worked with him for 10 years. Unfortunately, at the age of 49, he passed away and had an enormous impact. He gave young people a chance. He gave me a chance at the age of 27 to make a difference in business.
Wow.
And, you know, Harvey, it's not necessarily the qualifications you bring to the table, but the characteristics of an individual. Are you passionate? Can you motivate others? He saw that in me, and he saw that ability in so many other people, including the president of Henry Schein. The two of us have known each other for over 30 years. And Jay saw in us the ability to give young people a chance and let us go. I mean, I remember walking into Jay's office and him saying, Stan, you got to go to the bank and raise, I was hired as the first CFO, $3 million. I said to Jay, the only thing I've ever done is lent money for a car. And in those days, for $3,000, you could...
you could big car, big
exactly.
Terrific.
So Jay said, go out and raise $3 million. I had no clue what to do, but I got it done because he believed in me. Another very, very important mentor in my life, and indeed many of the team at Henry Schein, is the late Dr. Edward B. Shills, Dr. Schulz was the founder of the Wharton Entrepreneurial Center. He happened to be the director of the Dental Manufacturers of America. And Dr. Schulz was somebody that taught the concept of being successful by tolerating ambiguity.
Ooh. Explain that for my viewer.
Well, entrepreneurship and life in general is about succeeding in ambiguity, because nothing is absolute in life.
Right.
Whether it's business, whether it's in your practice, there's no absolutes.
That's a fact.
Nature works in peculiar ways, people work in peculiar ways, and it's a question of working in this ambiguity area. And that's really what business entrepreneurship, whether you're president of a university or you're a TV host,
right,
it's all about. And he taught that concept of succeeding in a world of ambiguity. At the same time, Dr. Schulz was the very first in America to develop the concept of entrepreneurship from an academic point of view.
Explain.
Well,
to
document, to understand,
as a science.
Yes, as a science, and establish the first center of entrepreneurship.
As opposed to gut.
Right. But what he did is he took it one step further. He developed the concept of intrapreneurship.
Explain.
Entrepreneurship in a big company.
Ooh.
And therein, I believe, lies much of the success of the Henry Schein story.
To be able to delegate to people within the organization, let them go free to do entrepreneurial work so that the entire unit itself can thrive.
Correct. And our job as a leader is to be a coach, facilitator, and mentor, not to be the boss. And with those characteristics, coaching, facilitating, and mentoring, giving people an entrepreneurial platform in a big company is one terrific formula for success. And that's enabled Henry Schein to grow from a relatively small business, about $40 million when I joined, to somewhere close to $7 billion in the next year or so.
And that's just last Tuesday you made the $7 billion, is that?
Not yet. We're heading towards that. So Dr. Schulz, but what really Dr. Schulz, I think, gave the world was the notion that, yes, it's about passion, but never give up. And he was
tenacity.
He was asked to retire as the head of the Department of Management at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School at 69.
Great school.
Because of his, they want to let younger people in. So what do you think he did? He went off to law school at 69.
Oh, I love hearing this.
And then he went on to get a master's in law.
I love this.
And went on to found the chair, or establish the chair of alternative dispute resolution. Completely different career.
Right.
And then went on to be an assistant DA in Philadelphia, championing the elderly. But during that process, mentored young people, and in fact, played a significant role in social outreach while he was doing that.
Talk about social responsibility.
Yes.
I mean, this man was able to give into his passion, was able to keep going, never gave up.
Right.
And just because they said, let's have someone else come in who's younger, what did he do? Sit on a park bench in the Grand Concourse and watch the cars go by?
Right.
No. He was very proactive in his life.
Right.
This is wonderful. Wonderful.
Right.
You look like you're about to add something.
No, what I was about to say is,
go ahead.
Age is a state of mind.
Age is a state of mind.
And he was able right up to his last day at 89. And at 89, he didn't pass away because he was sick. He passed away in a car accident.
Oh, God.
Leaving from the University of Pennsylvania, where he taught a class, to go home. I mean, he would have, that was his dream.
Oh,
you know, he didn't want to be sick.
He wasn't sick. It was an accident.
And he taught young people until the last minute.
You know, someone watching this show right now, I mean, unfortunately, too many thoughts go through my head at one time.
Right.
But I only have one mouth, so I've got to start again. Okay, so much to discuss about. Somebody watching this right now can say to themselves, yeah, but you're really not giving me any information. But we are. Hold on a second. Let me talk to my viewer. We are giving you information. And it starts out in its broadest way. It starts out as an idea. And seeing how important people are. And persistency, tenacity, understanding, never giving up. Having people work with you. These are important things. And nobody is going to tell you if you're going to run a business, well, the first thing you have to do is you've got to go down to the office supply store and you've got to buy a bunch of pens and a bunch of pencils. You have to have a nice, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. These are such valuable, important things that we're discussing. It's the bedrock.
Yes.
And nothing, in my office, it's the exact same thing as we discussed before the show. There's no question about it. What do you think would be the single most important trait of a businessman, a businesswoman, a business person, if they're going to start a new business or they have their own business?
Right.
What would be the single most important trait?
Well, obviously you have to have a vision. You have to know what you want to accomplish. You have to have a modicum of discipline to perhaps even document it.
That's the harder part.
Right.
That takes the effort.
Yes, but not to over-document, because at the end of the day, you can overthink something, and then you have the perfect plan, but you'll never get it done.
Okay.
So you got to have a vision. You got to have a plan. You have to have enormous passion. But you have to surround yourself with people that are better than yourself, that can bring each of the components that are needed to implement that vision to the table.
I'd like to interrupt you. Stay with this for a moment. Delegation of responsibility. Finding the people to do the job. I have an uncle, may he rest in peace, who is a phenomenal businessman. And he said to me, the greatest thing he can do is to find better people than himself to do the things in his business that needs to be done. He'll just sit back and let them go. And that's what you just said. How do you know when you've got the right person? What are the traits you look for?
Well, first of all, the person has to be somebody, every good leader has to be someone, as I said earlier on, that can run a summer camp. Can you get everybody involved? And of course, technical expertise is required, but technical expertise is a secondary requirement to being able to motivate and lead and get everybody involved. And the worst enemy of any company is organizational chart. One needs them. Of course, big companies need them. But it's getting everyone involved in pursuit of priorities rather than in pursuit of a structure. And bureaucracy fighting is something that I spend a lot of time doing. You need a big entity with, of course, in a big entity you need structure, but it's about having people in pursuit of a particular initiative and a program. And if you can find people that will want to do that and check the egos outside.
That's the hard part.
Then you've got something.
I'll throw you for a loop for a second with a totally different question. What book's on your nightstand?
Well, on my nightstand is...
What book's or book?
Right. What's on my nightstand is the reading material that I haven't got to.
Okay.
But perhaps the most important book, other than perhaps the Bible, is Nelson Mandela's Walk to Freedom, which I have on my desk, in my office, in our living room, in our apartment, in our living room at our home on Long Island. And Nelson Mandela, to me, is the ultimate leader.
Why? I know I have a feeling you're going to be redundant now, but that's fine.
It's the
I'll
same
take that
thing.
chance. Let me hear it. Because he didn't run a business, he ran something bigger than a business.
He created one of the greatest visions the world has ever seen.
Tell me about it.
Well, the vision he had is that everybody is equal and everybody can contribute. And he didn't compromise on that vision one iota. He had the vision, he had the discipline, he had the passion, he had the perseverance, and he didn't stop. But what is so good about the story at the end of the day is it's a triumph of good over evil. And those leadership traits that Nelson Mandela exhibited are the same traits that I believe everyone who wants to run a successful business, run a successful educational institution, run a successful NGO, run a successful small enterprise as a dentist would do, needs.
I've told you that among the many activities I get involved in, one of them is also as a wine writer. And I just love that. It's meeting the people, and learning the culture and the food and everything else. I got involved with the consulate of South Africa. And with the consul general numerous times. Gone out for dinner, and we've been in activities together and tasting the wines and talking. And indeed, I've had a number of winemakers from South Africa appear on this very show. And I must tell you, having grown up for the majority of my life, seeing apartheid and everything else that's gone on in that country, and then meeting officials and business people from that country, be it black or white, and seeing how well that they work together, I mean, I basically had to say to the consul general, I said, "Are you putting me on?" I mean, when we were alone, I said, he says, "Yes, this is the way it's like in our country."
Yeah.
For the most part, nothing's 100%,
Right.
but for the most part, we've learned to work together and to get along. And so I guess the book that you're telling me has a lot of value for a person in business.
Right.
Let's talk more about leadership.
Right.
What are the other traits of a good leader? We have delegation, we have persistency. What are some of the other things?
Well, of course, you have to articulate a vision, and you have to take that division and break it down into a plan, not yourself, but your team. And then you have to passionately sell that plan all day long. And if the plan is too complex, it's not a good plan. It's got to be a plan that's very simple, easily understood, elevator speech. And of course, selling the plan and then finding the right team, putting the right team on the bus, moving people around, making sure that people understand that title is not as important as the job you're doing. And you may be important in this job today, but you need to move into another job tomorrow. And of course, decisiveness. And of course,
that's important. You don't just throw that away.
Right.
You just said something very important.
Right.
Most people do not know how to make a decision. I've been teaching my children, one's 9 and one's 6.5, how to make a decision.
Right.
Talk about making decisions.
Harvey, one of the worst challenges in business or in any activity involving moving activities as long as perfection. Of course, a plan needs to be thought out perfectly. That's not what I'm referring to. It's when you spend too much time trying to get that plan perfect and you don't move. So it's about balance, and a decision needs to be made. And, you know, you're going to make mistakes. And it's fine, especially to let young managers make mistakes, because the only way you learn is through experience of mistakes.
There are many people, though, who are at the helm of a company would not accept that.
Well,
and that, I guess, is part of your leadership trait that empowers individuals to take a chance.
Right. I think well, that's what I learned from the late Jay Shine. It's not easy to accept failure. One has to celebrate it, and I find that I'm constantly being challenged personally because I am a perfectionist, but I'm constantly fighting that trait. So that we can move along, make decisions, learn from the mistakes, and lead towards best practices.
Do you empower people to make their own decisions and act on it, or is it some kind of a chain? That, well, I'm sorry, I really can't make this decision, and it keeps going up and up and up until it hits you.
Today, there is no one smart enough to be a boss. The world is too complex. You can be a coach, facilitator, and mentor. That's the ultimate manager. And at the end of the day, one has to delegate it down. I, for one, like to know what's going on for 2 reasons. One is I enjoy it. But second, if managers are telling me what's going on, it's forcing them to think through what's going on.
So how do you monitor the success of your divisions, your department, and your company?
Lots and lots of meetings. But not meetings just sitting around debating, but just a lot of information and walking around, management by walking around. Very important to have good shoes. We have 300 and something locations throughout the world, and I try to personally visit about 60 of those in a given year and try to meet at least half the people in the company in a given year. And if I'm setting the example, everyone will hopefully follow. And the whole idea is to set a tone in the company of people wanting to talk to other people and allowing problems to bubble up. But no one is smart enough to give the orders to fix. It's got to be a team, an engaged, participatory environment.
And people see that you're hands-on. You're not staying in some little ivory tower.
That's why it's important to know what's going on, because if people know that everybody knows what's going on,
they're accountable.
And you need to, in a transparent environment, at the end of the day, people hold themselves accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no big boss to hold you accountable.
Right, except for yourself. It's like if I'm walking down the hallway in my office and I find a little piece of paper on the floor, and people just walking by it, I stop. I make sure my staff sees me pick it up.
Because at the end of the day, Harvey, management or success is about being able to be comfortable living in the fishbowl. And when you walk around your office and people can see you picking up.
Being responsible to the practice as well. Absolutely.
Exactly.
You know, we have about maybe 3 minutes left.
Right.
Isn't it amazing how fast the time goes by? Do you think in 1 minute you can tell the story that you wanted to tell me earlier about Porsche? Is it significant?
Yeah, the CEO of Porsche, he saw some fellows digging ditches in the street, and he asked them what they were doing. And the one said, I'm digging ditches. The other one said, I'm building a cathedral.
Ah, I love it.
And that's...
Whoa, it's
vision.
Attitude. Vision and attitude. Absolutely.
Right. But Harvey, what is so important, I think, and we spoke about earlier, the different things you're involved with.
Please.
Is on the one side, everybody needs to have a business career, and you've got to be focused on that. Then there is family. That's the other side of the balance equation. And then there's the third thing. You've got to have something that you're passionate about that's beyond family and business. And in your instance, it's wine. Television. But what I think is also important is that if each of us spends a little time on social responsibility and the concept of making the world a better place, we will, in the end, have a better world.
Who knows? Who knows? I got choked up a little bit on this for a second, but maybe if that attitude had held true, we wouldn't be in the pickle that the economy is in today. If people had more social responsibility, and I'm sorry that I threw this into the show, but if there was a greater degree of moral responsibility, social responsibility, and ethics, I think that we wouldn't be having any of these difficulties.
I think you're right. And from a business point of view, Benjamin Franklin had it right. He called it enlightened self-interest. Businesses are in the business of making business. I think President Kennedy said that the business of America is business.
Right.
But we also have to take care of the world in which we live. So it's a balance.
You can't escape this. You can't think it doesn't matter. You open up your window and throw a piece of garbage out the window.
No.
That it's not going to matter because it's out of my car.
Correct.
It's not part of my life, but it's still in your world.
Correct.
And it's true. I really admire you, and I will give you one of the best comments that I could make when I have a guest on the show, and that is for me to say that I've learned something from you today. And I absolutely thank you very much. We're not totally through yet. I'm not through with you yet, but I just want you to know that I absolutely appreciate all that you've done, and you've expressed everything, and I certainly will get a chance to watch the show again so that I could even get some more information. And I'm going to also get a copy of that book because I have not read that book. What do you see as the future for Shine? What's your vision? I mean, already the company is just it's a behemoth. I mean, and it's functioning very well. Where do you see this going?
Well, Harvey, we want to be more relevant to our customers. We want our customers to find ways in which they can identify with Henry Schein in dealing with their challenges of running a business, which is challenged now because of the economy, but also providing better quality of care. And at the same time, we want to shrink the access to care issue. Today, there are far too many people in this country. The gap between those that can access health care and those that can't is too wide. So if we can do both, if we can help our customers succeed, provide better clinical care, we can help access to care issues, and at the same time keep our team engaged and provide career path growth opportunities for our team while providing good opportunities for our investors, providing them with a good return on investment, and perhaps making a difference in this world, the perfect balance will come into play.
You probably could have written this book, but it sounds like to me that you're a student of the Who Moved My Cheese book. You remember that book?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And that times change. And what are you going to do? You're going to stay in the corner and say, "Where's my cheese? Go out and get some more." Stan Bergman.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your time is very well spent with me as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for your passion.
Anytime, anytime. I hope that you got a lot out of this. I certainly did. And remember, just like Stan Bergman, whatever you do it with passion. Otherwise, what's the use? See you again next time.
Excellent.